Okay, first we got a Green Arrow story.
Green Arrow Noir, Episode 1, Shadows Over the City. The rain fell heavy over Star City's grimy streets, slicking the cobblestones with a sheen that mirrored the darkness lurking in every alley. The city was a beast with fangs, and tonight, two hunters stalked its heart. Oliver Queen, cloaked in shadows beneath his battered fedora and long trench coat, notched an arrow to his worn bow. His green eyes, sharp and cold, tracked the silhouette stalking across the rooftop opposite. The moon, hidden behind thick clouds, cast the faintest silver glow, just enough to reveal the deadly figure of Slade Wilson. Deathstroke. The city whispered Slade's name in fear, a ruthless mercenary and assassin, a ghost who left no trace but bodies. Oliver had tangled with him before, and he knew tonight wouldn't be any different. Without a word, Oliver released the arrow. It sliced through the air and struck the rooftop near Slade's foot, a warning shot. Deathstroke turned slowly, his masked face unreadable, but his stance deadly. From beneath his coat, he drew a gleaming blade, the weapon of a killer who'd never lost. The fight was brutal and silent. No flashy gadgets, no grand theatrics, just bone, steel, and grit. Oliver's arrows sang through the night, but Slade moved with lethal grace, blocking, parrying, and striking back with a fury born of years spent in darkness. The sound of metal clashed against metal echoed between the buildings. At one point, Oliver was pinned, blade pressed to his throat, but with a swift, practiced move, he twisted free, driving an arrow deep into Slade's side. The mercenary hissed, but didn't fall. Instead, he vanished into the shadows like a wraith, leaving behind only a promise. This wasn't over. Oliver lowered his bow and lit a cigarette, all smoke curling into the mist. He knew Deathstroke would be back, and when he returned, so would the war for the soul of Star City. For now, the night was silent again, but the shadows had eyes, and they were watching. DC Golden Age, the original Black Canary, a comedy of feathers and fisticuffs. On Earth 2, the world was a little simpler, and heroes had a certain old-school charm. Enter Dinah Drake, the original Black Canary, a sharp-tongued, hard-hitting dame with a penchant for breaking more than just hearts. The story begins in the bustling streets of Gotham City. Not quite the Gotham you know, but a brighter, more colorful version with jazz clubs on every corner, and a police force that wasn't quite sure what to make of their newest vigilante. Dinah Drake, sporting her signature fishnet stockings and a feathered jacket that looked more flapper than fighter, strutted into the scene like she owned the place. And honestly, she probably did. But Dinah wasn't just a pretty face with a killer scream. Literally. Her canary cry could shatter glass and eardrums alike. She was a gumshoe with a knack for getting into trouble and getting out of it by knocking out a few bad guys along the way. Her latest caper? Taking down the Feathered Fiend, a petty crook who had taken to stealing exotic birds from Gotham's zoo. The twist? The Feathered Fiend was obsessed with birds. So much so he dressed like one, complete with a ridiculous feathered mask that made him look like a confused chicken. Dinah arrived at the zoo just in time to catch the fiend mid-flight, or rather mid-flap, trying to smuggle a particularly grumpy parrot under his coat. What followed was a slapstick chase through the aviary, feathers flying everywhere as Dinah's scream shattered cages and sent birds squawking in all directions. At one point, the Feathered Fiend tripped over a flamingo stand, landing face first in a pile of birdseed, as Dinah delivered a perfectly timed punch with a cheeky one-liner. "Looks like you just got pecked." The whole thing ended with the police showing up, bewildered by the feather-strewn chaos and the unmistakable sound of Dinah's victorious cry echoing through the night. Back at the Black Canary's hideout, which suspiciously resembled a jazz club, Dinah sipped a soda, winking at the radio announcing her latest heroics. "Just another day in the life of a dame with a scream," she quipped. "Birds of a feather don't always flock together, but they sure make for fun company." DC Golden Age, Martian Manhunter, Part 2, The Martian Mystery. After the feather-filled chaos of Black Canary's latest adventure, Gotham, or rather Earth 2's version of it, was ready for something a little out of this world. Enter John Johns, the Martian Manhunter. Tall, stoic, and green as a freshly picked cucumber, John wasn't your average detective. He had powers that defied earthly logic. Shape-shifting, telepathy, super strength, flight, and a chilling ability to disappear into thin air. Perfect for sneaking up on crooks who thought the weirdest thing in Gotham was a dame in fishnets. The story opens in a smoky jazz club, because let's be honest, everything cool happened in jazz clubs back then, where John, disguised in a dapper trench coat and fedora, was quietly observing the crowd. Something was off. He could feel it in his Martian bones. Reports had come in about a series of bizarre thefts, items vanishing without a trace from heavily guarded museums, and strange green footprints found at every crime scene. The city was puzzled, but John knew better. This wasn't just some petty human criminal. This was something alien. Following the trail, John's investigation led him to a shady underground auction where Gotham's underworld was haggling over stolen artifacts. Just as the auctioneer was about to slam the gavel on a mysterious glowing orb, John revealed himself in a dramatic fashion, his eyes glowing bright green and his voice echoing with otherworldly power. "What you seek to trade belongs to the stars, not your pockets," he declared. Cue a comically intense brawl, with John using his shape-shifting powers to turn into a massive Martian beast one moment, then a tiny mouse the next, leaving the crooks utterly confused and utterly defeated. In the aftermath, as the stolen items were returned, John leaned on the bar, sipping a soda, because even Martians appreciate a good earth drink, and mused about the strange planet he now called home. Back in the streets, Black Canary's voice crackled over a police radio. "Looks like Gotham just got a whole lot weirder. Maybe I should meet this Martian guy." John smiled, at least in spirit, and knew that together, Earth 2's heroes would keep the city safe, one quirky crime at a time. DC Golden Age, Flash, Part 3, The Scarlet Speedster Strikes. The streets of Earth 2's Central City were buzzing, not just from the usual hustle and bustle, but because something lightning fast was about to make his mark. Barry Allen, the fastest man alive, had always been the kind of guy who liked a good chase. Working as a forensic scientist by day, he was used to chasing clues, but when duty called, he was the Flash, zipping through the city faster than a startled cat, leaving only a red streak behind. This episode kicks off with Barry in his lab, mixing chemicals and analyzing footprints from a string of bizarre robberies. The culprit? A mischievous speedster known only as the Trickster, who was turning Central City into his personal playground by using gadgets and pranks that only a speed villain could pull off. Barry knew it was time to suit up. As the sun dipped below the skyline, Flash burst out of the lab, the iconic lightning bolt glowing bright on his chest. His mind raced at the speed of thought, anticipating every move of the Trickster. Their first encounter was a whirlwind of slapstick chaos. The Trickster threw exploding whoopee cushions, slippery banana peels, and smoke bombs, all classic gags that would make a clown proud. But Flash wasn't just fast, he was clever. Using his speed to dodge, he carefully disarmed the traps, all while chuckling at the absurdity. The chase led them through bustling streets, twisting alleys, and even inside a carnival, where Flash finally cornered the Trickster near the Ferris wheel. With a quick spin and a flicker of lightning, Flash snatched the gangster's trick bag and turned it inside out, revealing the stolen loot hidden inside. Caught and laughing nervously, the Trickster muttered, "You're faster than I thought, Flash. Guess the joke's on me." Back at the police station, Barry returned the goods, all while keeping his identity under wraps. The city breathed a little easier, knowing its Scarlet Speedster was always just a heartbeat away. In the final scene, Flash receives a mysterious message, an invitation from Batman, summoning him to join a team of heroes ready to face threats beyond any one city's walls. Barry smiled beneath his mask, knowing that his speed would be needed for the adventures ahead. Cast: Barry Allen, Flash, Grant Gustin. The Trickster: Jim Carrey, Police Chief, Jesse L. Martin. On Earth 2, even the fastest man can't outrun a good laugh.
No, no.
Martian Manhunter Noir. In the shadow-soaked alleys of Earth Noir's metropolis, a new kind of justice stalked the night. Silent, relentless, and otherworldly. John Johns, known to the city's underbelly simply as the Martian Manhunter, was unlike any detective the police had seen. Not human, yet fighting for humanity. The story opens with a foggy, rain-slick street. Neon signs flicker above shuttered shops as John surveys the scene of a grisly crime. A string of disappearances had gripped the city, and the police were stumped. Captain Jim Gordon, weary but determined, called on the Martian Manhunter for help. John's abilities made him perfect for the job. His powers of shape-shifting allowed him to blend into any crowd. His telepathy let him listen to the whispers of the city's secrets, and his super strength ensured he could stand toe-to-toe with the darkest criminals lurking beneath the city's veneer. As he delved deeper, Jan discovered a sinister plot involving a corrupt businessman trafficking in alien tech and human lives. The Martian man in the shadows moved silently, gathering evidence no human detective could. Images, thoughts, the faintest trails of energy. His presence unsettled both the crooks and the honest cops alike. Renee Montoya, an officer skeptical of the Martian's otherworldly ways, watched him cautiously but couldn't deny his results. In a climactic confrontation beneath the city's decaying subway tunnels, John confronted the mastermind, a ruthless figure who sought to harness alien power to control the city. Using his powers to intimidate and outmaneuver, the Martian Manhunter took down the criminal network with a combination of brute force and strategic mind. At dawn, the city breathed easier, though many still whispered about the alien who walked among them. Jim Gordon handed over the case files with a nod of respect, and John disappeared into the fog, a guardian whose story was just beginning. Cast: Martian Manhunter, John Johns, David Harewood, Jim Gordon, Gary Oldman, Renee Montoya, Michelle Forbes. Villain: corrupt businessman, Lance Reddick. In the noir shadow, The Flash Noir. The night in Earth Noir's city was thick with fog and whispers. Barry Allen moved through the shadows, not with the bright flash of light the newspapers would later say he emitted, but with quiet, deliberate steps. The speedster of this world was no comic book hero. He was a detective, a forensic scientist by day, and a shadow in the streets by night. Barry had been tracking Roscoe Dillon, known in the underground simply as the Top. A man obsessed with chaos, the Top had been spinning a web of psychological terror throughout the city, leaving victims dizzy and disoriented, often pushed to madness. Unlike other criminals, the Top's attacks left no physical scars, only fractured minds. Barry knew that catching him meant more than just brute force. It was a battle of wits and willpower. Using his forensic expertise, Barry pieced together the patterns of the Top's crimes, locations where victims were found, the timing, even the faintest traces of psychotropic substances left behind. But the Top was slippery, always one step ahead, his dizzying schemes designed to disorient pursuers. The confrontation happened in a dilapidated carnival on the edge of town, a perfect playground for the Top's twisted games. Barry arrived, the stale smell of popcorn and rusted metal mingling with the cold night air. The Top, played with eerie manic energy, lurked amid the shadows, spinning his signature top with a hypnotic rhythm. His laughter echoed, spinning a sinister melody that threatened to unravel Barry's concentration. But Barry, despite the disorientation, focused his mind. His speed was tempered by discipline. He didn't just run fast, he thought fast. Using his powers, he blurred around the Top, disrupting his focus and snatching the spinning weapon from his hand. The fight was a blur, both literal and figurative. Barry dodged dizzying illusions and attacks designed to unbalance him. Finally, he subdued the Top with a precise strike and handcuffed the man before the effects of the villain's chaos could take hold. By dawn, the Top was behind bars. His reign of psychological terror ended. As Barry looked out over the city, he knew this was only the beginning of a darker, grittier battle for justice. Cast: Barry Allen, The Flash, Grant Gustin, The Top.
Last story of the day for now.
Justice League: The Arrival. The city skyline was tranquil under the setting sun, but a creeping darkness was about to shatter the calm. High above Metropolis, a rift tore open the sky, a swirling, ominous portal pulsating with dark energy. From this breach spilled forth a horde of monstrous creatures, fierce, relentless, and otherworldly. Parademons, foot soldiers of a terrible warlord, stormed into the city, tearing through streets and striking fear into the hearts of civilians. The Justice League was already assembled. Batman stood atop a building, eyes sharp, analyzing the threat. Beside him, Superman hovered, the weight of his responsibility heavy on his shoulders, but his resolve unbreakable. Hal Jordan's Green Lantern created dazzling energy constructs, encircling groups of parademons and blasting them out of the air. Barry Allen's Flash zipped between foes with lightning speed, dismantling their ranks in seconds. Aquaman called upon the water of the city's river, summoning waves to sweep away enemies. Wonder Woman wielded her sword and shield with fierce precision, a warrior born for battle. Martian Manhunter shifted his form with otherworldly grace, phasing through enemies and striking from within. Green Arrow loosed arrows with pinpoint accuracy, and Black Canary's sonic scream shattered the armor of approaching creatures. Together, they moved as a well-oiled machine, protecting the city and pushing back the invading horde. But these were only the foot soldiers. Suddenly, a dark silhouette emerged from the portal, towering and imposing. Steppenwolf, the alien warlord, his armor bristling with ancient power, strode forward. His eyes glowed with malice as he surveyed the battlefield. "Foolish mortals," his voice boomed, deep and echoing, "you face a power beyond your reckoning." Superman stepped forward, unwavering. "We've faced threats before. You won't conquer Earth." Steppenwolf raised his massive axe and charged, the ground trembling beneath his steps. The battle intensified. Wonder Woman clashed blades with him, sparks flying. Batman coordinated strikes, using gadgets and tactics to exploit the warlord's weaknesses. Aquaman summoned tidal fury to slow the invaders' movements. Green Lantern created an unbreakable cage of energy, trying to contain Steppenwolf, but the alien's strength broke through. Flash darted circles around him, confusing and distracting, while Martian Manhunter used his telepathy to probe Steppenwolf's mind for vulnerabilities. Black Canary's scream and Green Arrow's relentless arrow volley forced the warlord to defend on all fronts. Despite the chaos, the League's combined might began to push Steppenwolf back. Finally, Superman's heat vision struck true, and Wonder Woman's sword pierced through a crack in Steppenwolf's armor. The warlord staggered, defeated. But before the League could claim victory, Steppenwolf's eyes flashed with dark energy. "This is but a taste," he warned, his voice a chilling promise. "My master will come, and when he does, your world will crumble." With that, Steppenwolf vanished into the portal, which collapsed behind him. The city was saved, but the shadow of a greater threat loomed. The Justice League regrouped silently, knowing this was just the beginning. Cast: Superman Tyler Hoechlin, Green Lantern Ryan Reynolds, Flash Barry Allen Grant Gustin, Batman Christian Bale, Green Arrow Stephen Amell, Black Canary Katie Cassidy, Aquaman Alan Ritchson, Wonder Woman Adrienne Palicki, Martian Manhunter David Harewood, Steppenwolf Ciaran Hinds. Together, they stood as Earth's last line of defense, and the battle for its future was only beginning.
Okay, bye for now.